A bike rally. Bikes, beer and more beer. A weekend roughing it with your mates and all for your love of biking. Rallies like this take place every weekend in the UK, but this one's a little bit different. It's been organised by the National Association for Bikers with a Disability, or NABD for short. The aim of the rally is not only to raise funds for the charity, but to educate people of the needs of disabled riders.
All the money raised from this weekend goes back in for more adoptions to help more drivers back on the road. Same situation as myself.
Biking can be a dangerous and passionate pastime, and all bikers have a crash story to tell. Either their own story or a fellow rider who has sustained an injury which makes it impossible for them to ride a conventional bike ever again. However, this hasn't stopped a selection of dedicated individuals who have overcome their disability and have bravely taken to the roads once again.
NABD helped fund my trike for me, so I thought it was only fair play to come and help them out and show a bit of willing, come to one of their rallies. I decided from about day 2 of being in hospital, I was laid there and I thought, it can't put me off, there's got to be some way to get back out there.
I'm Billy Connolly, one of the patrons of NABD, and in the next hour we'll be meeting these determined individuals and showing the extraordinary innovations that allow them to continue their love of motorcycling against all the odds.
From an early age I've been into bikes, and bikes were my life, and sort of now I've gone back to that, and it's my life again.
NAB gave me the support and help that I needed with getting the trike, and it just generally encouraged me to get back, to do it, to make my dream a reality, to actually put it into force.
If they want to do it, they should get it. If they want to do it, they should get and do it. Don't say the word I can't. That doesn't exist. They should get and do it, boy. Maybe they could have their bum.
Meanwhile, back at the rally, some of the disabled riders have taken their trikes onto the drag strip.
I'm here for the NABD rally because I'm a supporter of the NABD, and just come up with a bunch of friends and have good fun. There's 3/4 of people here wouldn't be on the road if it weren't for the NABD, so it's very important.
It's better than a family, much better than a family, because everybody cares for everybody else. If you've got a problem, somebody will try and help out, no matter what it is.
You've Been NABD is an annual event and is in its 12th year. 1,500 people attend the weekend and many camp out just for the fun of it. All the proceeds from the event go back to providing help for disabled riders.
I think we're amazingly successful. When you think that we started as a group of rank amateurs just feeling our way, we've built up to over 3,500 members with a turnover that's just gone over 100,000 a year, with literally thousands of bikers, disabled people, who are now riding independently because of this association, and all of the funds for it has come from bikers. We've never had a penny from any government sources.
It's going to support them, because if you have any accidents, obviously, they can help you out with them and put your bikes and getting them transformed to how you want them. So it's quite good. And it's also done for charity as well.
It's got to be worthwhile, hasn't it? I mean, everyone knows somebody that's had an accident or whatever. It gets people back on the bikes, back on the road again. It can't be a bad thing, can it?
Many of the disabled riders at the rally have benefited from NABD's grant system and are here to support the association. Dominic McCord travelled 358 miles from Cookstown in Northern Ireland on his adapted trike to be at the rally.
The adoptions, I got £1,200 from NABD for the adoptions. Paid for everything, paid for the reverse gearbox, paid for all this work here, and paid for lack of ROE. 3 things around it too for me. As you see, there's a rack in the back, where I can link my wheelchair on. It's a good organisation. It helps people get back out there again. Or that there, I'd still be sitting in the house. There's a lot of help and support. They'll tell you a lot about the insurance as well, the books they have. I wouldn't have a clue where to go to for the insurance for the trike.
His trip was worth the effort, and his trike picked up 2 awards, Best Adaptions and Best Adapted Trike. NABD was set up in April 1991 by a small group of enthusiasts in Manchester who believed that disabled people weren't getting the full access to freedom and enjoyment of motorcycling.
Well, initially there was 6 people in Stockport that got together to help just one guy get on the road. He had a left leg amputation, if I remember rightly. While they were in the process of designing an adaptation and getting the money together for it, they ran a couple of fundraising parties which obviously got publicised, and then very shortly into it other people started approaching them and saying, what can you do to help us? And it started to turn into an association. Initially I think it was something that was planned to last a couple of months and just get the one job done. By the end of the first year we had about 70 members. Now 12 years on we've got 3,500 plus. Sort of mushroomed into a bit of a monster really, but it's blossomed out quite a lot as well. We don't just do adaptation stuff nowadays, we do anything that affects a rider with a disability. Well, the main aim of the association, if you want it in a nutshell, is to make sure that when it comes to biking, a disability isn't a handicap. We believe that all disabled people should be able to ride independently and enjoy the freedom of biking.
The association is based in a little office at the back of a farm in Manchester. All those working for NABD are volunteers and all are extremely dedicated. The Community Fund have just awarded a grant to the NABD so that they can employ a full-time office administrator.
I was so impressed with the difference that the NABD had made that I volunteered to become a rep.
The association mainly helps riders adapt their bikes. They give out financial grants to assist with the cost of adaptations, and they're able to advise on individual requirements, how to get insurance, and most importantly, they provide a support network for disabled riders to help them get back on the road. NABD will also help a disabled rider to pass the bike test.
Well, this is one of the small number of learner-loaner bikes that we have, that we loan out to people who need to take training and test on an adapted machine. This particular one has just come back in from somebody who's passed his test on it, and it's due to go out to somebody in Southampton over the next week or so after it's had a quick service. This is adapted for somebody with a left arm disability, so all of the controls that are normally on the left handlebar have been transferred over onto the right. So you've got the clutch mounted above the front brake, the standard twist grip, and the switch gear that you need to use while you're riding has also been moved over here, so everything can be done one-handed. People with brachial plexus injuries are quite common within the association. It's a shoulder injury which leaves you with a paralysed arm. They actually call it, the surgeons call it the biker's injury because it's very common from bike accidents. So machines like this are in constant demand. We do have 2 loaners for left arm disabilities and 1 for right arm disabilities. We're always on the lookout for people who want to give us 125s that we can add to the fleet.
So, what advice can be given to someone considering riding with a disability?
We recently went to the Mobility Roadshow down at Donington Park, and I actually had the trike parked on their stand, and the amount of interest from other paraplegics, especially the guys that are just coming out of hospital, newly injured, is absolutely amazing, because they can see a trike that's been adapted, but especially with the wheelchair on the back. Well, I think it inspires other people to get back on, and it shows them that it can be done.
From what I've seen from NABD, the devices that can be developed, virtually anyone with any ailment, disability, can get into biking. If you need a sidecar or a trike, all of these can be adapted, so almost anyone can go back to biking.
Go for it. Simple as that. There's no reason why not. It doesn't matter what your problem is, there's always an answer. Always an answer. So go for it. Do it.
I think one of the things is when you become disabled, you're like, oh my God, my whole world's going to change. And it doesn't. You know, you're really the same person. You've just got a few more limitations. And biking is one of the things that you can actually alter. You can actually get back into really quickly.
I would say to any disabled motorcyclist or any disabled person, to be truthful, like if your interest is motorcycling, like get up and do it. There's always a way.
Still to come, we meet the man who's building this concept trike with Sir Frank Williams, and of course hear some inspiring tales from those who have gone to great lengths to get back to biking.
As a result of my first accident, I broke all the bones in my left leg, femur, fib, tib, had to have them all pinned and plated. Was 4 years getting on and off crutches, getting over that, but thankfully got some compensation for that, which bought my first Harley.
Have you ever wondered how you would go on if you became disabled? Probably not. It's not the sort of thing most people spend much time thinking about. There are over 8 million disabled people in the UK. That's 1 in 7 of the population. There are 10.8 million people of all ages in the UK who have long-term health problems or disabilities which limit their daily activities. They make up 18.5% of the population. There are 6.9 million disabled people of working age in Great Britain, accounting for nearly 1/5 of the working age population. Neil Hodgson, world superbike rider, is one of the many celebrities that NABD have, nabbed into being patrons for the society.
Well, actually, I was approached about 3 years ago in the Isle of Man by a bunch of quite crazy looking characters, and they actually asked me if I'd like to be the patron, and I asked what the job involved, and it actually didn't seem like much. Obviously I'm quite busy with lots of PR that I've got to do anyway, and I've got lots of obligations to do for all my current sponsors, so I said I didn't really have that much time, but if I could help them in any way, shape or form, then I'd be really interested in doing that. Well, I didn't, to be honest, I didn't know much about them, and having spoken to a few of the characters, and a lot was explained to me. I just thought it seemed like a good cause. A lot of people are doing fundraising and doing this, that and the other for people outside the country. And for me, I'm a real sort of great British, if I'm going to give anything to any sort of charities, I like to do it all in the UK.
Neil is impressed with NABD's work.
I think it's incredible. I think, the awareness and, really the professionalism of them all, it's astounded me. And I hope they can go from strength to strength. Hopefully people will learn a bit more about them and they'll get a little bit more support and more financial backing, and it's going to be good for everybody. If you end up being really unfortunate and you end up with a bad injury and you end up disabled, it actually doesn't necessarily mean the end of your biking career. And that's for a lot of people, that's sometimes the second thought. The first thought is I might not be able to walk again, then the second thought is I might not be able to ride a motorcycle again. But the fact is that, you know, there are now possibilities, so, you know, it is really positive.
I am also a patron, as is TV presenter Mick Scarlett.
I went into the wheelchair when I was 15, so I never actually had that sort of fun bit of driving around on a little sort of hairdryer moped, like went. So I never kind of got into motorbikes the way most people do, like that route. But what happened with me was I went into the chair, and actually wearing leather is really clever because it doesn't wear out as quick. When you're in a wheelchair, you end up with mud and rubbish and dog poo all over you from the floor, and you can just wash it off leather. And so you're wearing leather, you go to bike clubs, you go to sort of rock places, and you meet people, the biking fraternity, who always accept disabled people so much more than normal kind of Joe public. And I kind of met all the guys, and they were so keen and enthusiastic, and also like they're all disabled, and they knew what they were talking about. Do you know what I mean? They were really into their bikes, and so anyone I come in contact with to try and find the trike before were kind of a bit, oh no really mate, and these guys knew their onions. I never had a go on a bike, and then when I did have like a brief dalliance with it, I understood why people would want to be on, you know, use bikes, go biking. And so if you've been a biker and you come off and you injure yourself, it must drive you mad not to know how to get back on one. I mean, a lot of guys say they lose a leg. You know, you can have all your whole equipment put on the foot that works, or on your, you know, on your steering wheel, on your handlebars. There's a car driver for you. And so it means that you can honestly be learning to drive while you're learning to walk again. And that's, you know, I think that's fantastic. I mean, also one of the things that not a lot of people understand is when you're disabled, trying to get insurance, it's like trying to find, you know, gold. It's just impossible. And what it must be like to ring up an insurance company and go, hello, I'm disabled, I fell off a bike, now I want to drive a bike. They must just go, and these guys know where to go to get you the right people so you don't end up paying through the nose. When I was young and I first went in the wheelchair, you'd spend a lot of time in hospital, and a lot of the guys around me had bike accidents. And while they were laying there, you know, I remember one guy who had a full body cast on but one arm, and he was using this free hand to work out his bike insurance and how much money he'd have so he could buy his next bike. And I think that really demonstrates the mindset of bikers. My advice to anyone that wants to get back to biking after becoming disabled is do it, and do it quick. And so if anyone out there does get a bike, I'll see you on the road.
Former stunt rider Eddie Kidd is a patron for the Disabled Motorcyclists Association. The DMA provide help and support for disabled riders, plus an accident support scheme.
They asked me to be the patron. I said, yeah, but I'll do it. But if I can do anything to help anyone, I'll do it. Especially disabled riders. It takes so much to get back on the bike. If it helps other people, I want to do that.
Eddie Kidd was England's answer to America's Evel Knievel. He made over 10,000 jumps in his career and never broke a bone. Two big highlights of his career were winning the World Jump Championship and of course jumping the Great Wall of China, an extraordinary event that hit TV screens worldwide. But on August the 5th, 1996, Eddie had an accident that would change his life.
I've done well over 10,000 jumps, including all my previous jumps. Never broken a bone. Never crashed. The only time I could ever crash on purpose. When I had this crash, I broke my collarbone, my 6th vertebrae in my neck, and my pelvis. It fell on my head. The next job I had planned was the River Thames. And then after I was do the Thames. Then I was going to go to Egypt, jump a pyramid. But unfortunately I crashed. That's life.
Eddie now has a personal trainer who is whipping him into shape. He also uses a power plate, which is a machine developed by the Russians for astronauts returning from space to help rebuild their muscle strength. This is all aimed at getting Eddie back on a bike. At the moment, he can ride a quad with a twist and go throttle.
I need a twist and go. No more throttle, no thumb throttle. this quite fast. I haven't rid the bike yet because it's full fuel inject. When I went to put the bike up, the mechanic told me it hasn't opened up yet. Too fast. How do you chicken? But it's lethal. Being realistic, yeah. I just want to ride a bike. But first thing you need to learn how to walk first. I love to jump again. But I don't know if I don't know if I ever will. My biggest stunt is to learn how to walk first. Then I'll take one step at a time.
Eddie's final words of encouragement are,
go for it. My motto is nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Go for it, go for it.
Meet Purple Haze and her proud owner Diane Charlton. Purple Haze is a fat boy Harley Davidson trike and Diane's dream machine.
This is my baby that I could picture in my head. She's called Purple Haze. She was always purple. She was always a great big fat Harley. Yeah, and this is just how she looked. And I've waited the 10 years that I could get the bike that I dreamed of.
When Diane was 21, she had a huge bike smash while travelling in Australia. On her own, on a bike.
I did something that I'd always wanted to do. And a situation within my work made it happen. And so I was able to go out for a 12-month visa on a working visa and travel around, and I decided that the best way to see a fantastic country like that was on two wheels. Yeah, so I bought a 750 V-twin Yamaha Midnight Special cheap man's Harley. I was travelling Australia. I was just about to go down towards the west coast of Australia, travelling down the longest highway in the world, and somebody pulled out at me from a side street, and I T-boned them and went straight over the car.
Diane's injuries were extensive and she sustained a brachial plexus injury in her left arm, which has left it paralysed.
So the car pulled out on me and I actually rode into it was actually the driver's door that I rode into, and I just parked my bike in there. It didn't fall over, it just wrote the car off, and I flew about 200 yards down the road and landed on my shoulder, which gave me the head injury and the brachial plexus with losing my left arm. I was very badly, and when I do things, I do them properly, you know. I was in a coma for 3 months. As far as breakages were concerned, like I said, I had my brachial plexus injury. I did my pelvis in 14 places, had to have an open book fracture and a Hoffman frame around it. I broke my sternum, which apparently is the most difficult bone to break in your body, which is your chest bone.
Even after all that, Diane wanted back on the road. Her first words coming out of a 3-month coma were that it wouldn't stop her riding.
I've always had the dream, I've always ridden in my head. I've always had this picture in the head of me riding down the road, and this is what I was riding on. I could have done it sooner and bought an inferior model, but it wouldn't have matched my dream in my head. Yeah, she matches that.
Diane used the gym to get back to full fitness.
Yeah, at the gym as well as my general fitness, cardiovascular stuff. I lift weights as well, and that's been with the sole intention of giving me the power to be able to ride a machine again.
With a few adaptations and determination, Diane is back on the road.
I've got a foot clutch, hydraulic clutch, because of course your left hand would be operating your clutch, so I've had that put onto the right. The right foot would normally do your rear brakes. I've had that put out to the side of my gear shift lever, and I've got a reverse gear fitted on her as well, because she's a weighty beast, and yeah, a lot bigger than I can manage to haul around by myself. NABD gave me the support and help that I needed with getting the trike. They paid towards the conversions I had done, and it just generally encouraged me to get back, to do it.
So what does the future hold for Diane and her Purple Haze?
But I have the intention that I will still be riding when I'm 80. Don't dream it, do it. Yeah, work your way towards it. Yeah, don't let anything stop you.
When a solo bike's not practical, as in the case of wheelchair users, do not despair. There are options of a sidecar outfit or a trike. The sidecar outfit can be a standard combination, probably with a full hand conversion, or something more purpose-built to suit individual needs. Trikes open a whole new side to disabled riding, whether it's a car or bike-based trike. The range of adaptations possible is endless. Full hand-controlled trikes with wheelchair carrying facilities are among the most common adaptations requested. This unusual machine is the PDP Conquest. It's the brainchild of Alan Martin, who has been working on this design for over 2 years.
It's designed solely for the disabled people, the ones that have been injured in either car or motorbike accidents. And I wanted to give them something that was powerful, which made them feel good, and was cool. So this is what I've built.
So how did this beast come about?
My son had an accident at work, and one day he said to me, "Dad, I wouldn't go in one of those bikes. Anything that's around, it makes me feel embarrassed." So I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yeah." And we looked at what was on the market. And at that point, I started to do lots of drawings.
Initially, Alan had to make the scale model to help him gain sponsorship. The PDP Conquest has stirred up such interest in the disabled community. Sir Frank Williams has given his support to the project.
I made a model, 1:10 scale, of what I thought we could possibly build. And he looked at it, he said, "Yeah, Dad, that'd be stunning if we could have something like this." So I sent that model off to Sir Frank Williams, the Formula One boss, and he came back to me after about 2 or 3 months and said, "Okay, Alan, build it, I'll start you off." And that's how it started, and this is what we've now come to some 2 years later.
So how does it work?
I needed to get the rear end low to the ground, and I looked at cars and I looked at everything. And when you look at a bike, the framework is only about 8 inches from the ground, the rear end. So I thought, if I can get a vehicle that I can travel that 8 inches right the way through to the back, lowering it to about 6 inches at the rear end, we could make easy access for the wheelchair. So this is the reason I used the bike. All around the top end, just here, we're going to have leather. It's going to be leather bound with a nice dashboard for a real cool sound system, which we want to put in there. And as you can see, we've got the distance from the ground is very low, which is what I've been trying to do. These are actuators. They will be fixed to the side with obviously this part facing in, and they will then pull the tail up once the driver's gone into the cockpit area. So the wheelchair just goes in nice and neatly. Once it's in place, there'll be a switch which activates the actuators, bringing up the rear tailgate, which is very, very strong and forms the rear superstructure that locks into place. So now the wheelchair cannot move, and it's the seat of the vehicle.
Alan hopes the machine will revolutionise transport for disabled people.
And when we've finished it, we develop it through this year, we will end up with a fantastic machine that I think every disabled person will want.
Turning his disability into ability has helped Dave Smith get back on the road and become national sprint champion on his adapted trike 2 years running.
I joined the straight liners drag racing scene, and there wasn't actual class for the three-wheeler, but the NSA do a class for three-wheelers, so I joined that and I've done quite well. Yes, I've won the 2001 championship and the 2003 championship, and I think I'm currently leading this year's championship.
Dave's wife Wendy has always supported him and his passion for biking. She knew what she was letting herself in for when he turned up at their wedding on his bike.
Oh, the kids love it, and Wendy, my wife, she absolutely loves it, like, yeah.
Dave is quite attached to his Suzuki. In fact, this trike is made up of the bike he crashed.
It's the bike that I've always wanted ever since I was 17, and I got married on it, and shortly after that accident, and I just didn't want to part with it really, so I looked into adapting it and I found out I could adapt it, so I adapted it, and it's with me till I die, I think.
The drag racing has given him a new lease of life and made sure that his passion for biking lives on.
It's not just the racing, it's the people who you meet, and met some marvellous people while I've been doing it, and you get addicted to it really, and you just keep wanting going faster and faster.
Dave feels that without NABD, he would never have got back on his bike.
It's part of a healing process, if you like. Getting back on a bike, I would, if I weren't on a motorbike now, I'd be really depressed, and so they really do a good job. Like, if you're a biker, biking's in your blood and nothing really puts you off. I've had 1 or 2 accidents and always got back on, so it was just another phase. Like.
In part 3, we have more brave bikers who have bounced back to biking. Welcome back. We've another brave bunch of bikers who are riding again and loving it. If you think getting back on the road after a huge smash is a great achievement, try coming back from 2 huge smashes and then deciding to go racing. Well, that's exactly what Roy Tansley did.
I started riding bikes when I was about 10, motorbikes at 10. I broke my back when I was 17, and that was quite severe. I was paralysed for about 4 months. And I was back on motorbikes pretty much fairly soon after getting out of hospital. As soon as I came out, I figured out a way of riding if I changed gear by hand. Yeah, I lost my leg after testing a bike for a friend, which was a 350 Yamaha power valve. Then I was cruising back into this town, and I caught a car up that was indicating right and promptly pulled over to the left and stopped. I just trickled past the car on the right and it did a U-turn into me basically. Then it sort of half fetched me foot off at the ankle, turned it round 380 degrees. Fortunately I didn't fall off because it was out in the middle of nowhere. I realised that I couldn't stop because of the amount of blood I was losing, so I carried on and went back to my hand gear changing practice. Being told that I was never going to ride or walk again was a bit like a red rag to a bull in my case, and I was just figuring out ways of riding a bike, whether I could walk or if I couldn't walk, and you know, as far as I was concerned, it wasn't an option not riding a bike.
Roy had to battle with the ACU to get a race licence. They finally gave in and granted him a sidecar licence instead of a solo licence.
I was a solo rider at heart, and that was the only option to race, and I was very driven to race, so I decided to have a bash at that. My eventual conversion was to adapt the brakes to the right foot, which I still have, and I came up with an invention of a push-button gear change, basically. It was developed for disabled people, but we found that the fact that it is very conducive to racing applications. For instance, we have an Irish fellow called Richard Britton who's been around the Isle of Man, has spit off 125 miles an hour, actually.
Roy is the only disabled rider to have lapped the Isle of Man TT course at over 100 miles an hour. Quite an achievement.
I would say to any disabled motorcyclist or any disabled person, to be truthful, like if your interest is motorcycling, like get up and do it. There's always a way. My sort of philosophy on life is, the answer is yes. What's the question? Like, it can be done. Like, whatever you want to do can be done. You know, I was told that you can't do this, you can't walk, you can't race at the TT and whatever, and it's a little bit like a red rag to a bull to me, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people like that. So if you want to ride, it's possible, entirely possible, and we're very happy to help anybody that wishes to do that. Life is very precious to all of us, myself included. You know, I'm not a madman, or I hope I'm not. But it's also for living, and flat out down Bray Hill is certainly living.
NABD help bikers adapt their bikes and get back on the road. Without their support, many feel they would never have got back out there again. One of those people was Ian Taylor.
First of all, I mean, I had my accident in 1974 and I never thought I'd be able to ride again. But then you start looking around at the different trikes available and different adaptations, you realise that you think, well, maybe I can do that. I got full support from the missus, obviously, but without that I wouldn't have been able to do any of it. I mean, it's obviously with having the accident before, families, you know, don't sort of take to you going back onto bikes again after a layoff for 28 years.
His family have supported his renewed hunger for biking, and now all the family gets involved in many ways.
I mean, he's got my full backing because life's too short. I think you've got to get out and do something because life is too short. Well, I mean, really, I mean, it's opened up just another avenue for us. I mean, Ian and I, it gives us a break, and that if we go to the rallies, we've met lots of different people that we've got involved with through the rallies and different things, as well as sort of all our friends that have gone back into biking, in this middle-age crisis thing that they have. And I mean, like the children and that, I mean, even they sort of get involved. I mean, if Ian sort of takes, like when we went up to Donington and took the trike up there, the kids and that were helping out and they thought it was great, talking. They're just very social children anyway. My other daughter's done fundraising for them. And really, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just sort of another sort of avenue you go down, really.
Well, usually when we go to the big rallies, we're camping over. I take Bridget, my wife, with me. If we're just riding about locally, usually take Tamsin, my daughter, or Olivia, the older daughter, she'll come with me. But obviously I only take one at a time. That's where the trouble begins. They have the falling out over it. But yeah, no, they'll take turns. Once I got on it and rode it, all the fears and negative thoughts just disappeared because I knew I could ride it straight away. Yeah, and it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. First of all, I had to have a backrest made because I've no stomach muscles to sit up straight. All the brakes are all linked into the front brake lever. I've got the Clicktronic gear change, which are two buttons that operate a solenoid that operates the gear change. And I've had the stirrups made for my feet to hold my legs on. And it's just a cycle rack that holds the wheelchair on the back. We recently went to the Mobility Roadshow down at Donington Park, and I actually had the trike parked on their stand. And the amount of interest from other paraplegics, especially the guys that are just coming out of hospital, newly injured, is absolutely amazing.
Ian's trike is his and his family's pride and joy.
It's great, really, and I trust Ian 100%. He always says that he gets to a certain speed and then he gets a dig in ribs. So, but I must admit, I mean, he's older, I think, and a lot wiser, so he's not stupid. And I think it does Ian good, really, because, I mean, how long he's going to be able to do it is another issue, and how long he's going to be able to do it, I don't know, but I think he must do it while he can.
From an early age, I've been into bikes, and bikes were my life, and sort of now I've gone back to that, and it's my life again. Apart from the family, it's my life. That's all I do: ride bikes, or build bikes, or play with bikes, tinker with bikes. Yeah, it's my life. It's taken over again.
An 18-month-old Suzuki Marauder was one of the reasons Brian Green wanted to get back on the road after an industrial accident.
In 2001, I had an industrial accident, lost all the fingers of my right hand. Luckily enough, they managed to reimplant my ring finger as a thumb. And after further operations to widen the web space, I've now got enough width to actually turn the throttle now and ride it. So I had a few adaptations done to it, and I'm now looking forward to getting back to biking. Initially after the accident, I didn't know whether I'd be able to ride again because of the swelling, and I didn't know if the thumb was going to take. So it was just a case of waiting and seeing what happened.
It was only a few hours after the accident that Brian started to think about riding again.
The initial first thought, I'd say, was actually in casualty when I seen what had happened to the hand and I was talking with the surgeon, and I said, just give me them and then I can carry on riding my bike. And they tried to implant these 2 fingers, but they didn't take, so I've just had to work around it.
Brian has had his adaptions and hasn't looked back.
Well, they said they'd give me a grant towards fitting a thumb lever, having the bike adapted. It was just a case of finding my chosen engineer, getting a quote, getting in touch with them, and they okayed the grant, sent me the thumb lever, and then it was just taken from there. Yes, they take a bit of getting used to. It's strange pressing a foot pedal and the front forks dip, but you get used to that. And I suppose it'll come more naturally as I get used to it. When I first had the thumb lever fitted and I first got back on the road, I was a bit worried about the braking power I had with the thumb lever. It would stop me, but it was basically for slowing down. So I was worried if it did come into an emergency situation, there was no way I'd stop quick. I'd be riding along just looking for escape routes all the time because I knew if something happened I wouldn't be able to stop quick. So it was a bit of careful riding until I've had the rest of the adaptions done. With not having enough pressure on the thumb lever, the engineer decided after talking it through, there's only a single disc on the front wheel. Decided to put an extra disc on and connect it to another foot pedal next to the back brake, leaving the thumb lever to use on one disc and the brake pedal to use the other disc. So whenever I'm moving the bike, I've got the thumb lever to actually brake, whereas I'd have nothing on the handlebars otherwise. I just didn't want to lose riding. It's something I've always done on and off since I was 19, 20. And I'd only had the bike less than 18 months, this one, when the accident happened. So there's no way I was going to give it up. If you've got bikes in you, they'll always be there. They'll never go away. And there's just no other feeling.
Ken Jones from Macclesfield had a bad accident at work in 1995, which destroyed the cartilage in his left knee. This meant he couldn't bend his knee to enable him to change gear on his beloved Honda Goldwing.
Basically, the injury left me with arthritis badly in my left knee. And since then, I've had actually a knee replacement, which I've got quite a lot. Well, it went wrong a little bit after I can't flex my leg like I was supposed to do. And that's where I'm ended up like I am. The only reason I rest my foot there is because my actual leg won't bend. So the easiest place is just on the sidecar chassis, and it's no problem at all. Well, most motorcycles they have to have full flexion of your leg to actually put your foot underneath the gear stick to change gear. Well, if you actually see mine now, I can't actually do that anymore. So hence, I've had the actual conversion on the gears.
But thanks to a friend, Ken is biking again.
Well, I'm actually giving the bike up completely because I thought I would never even ride a solo bike again. And actually after that I met a friend who suggested a motorbiking sidecar. He loaned me a motorbiking sidecar, I did my training on it and actually progressed up to the one I'm on now. And I actually took a disabled test on that. And hence I'm here now. Well, basically I used to ride a solo bike until this happened to me, and then I can't ride one because if I actually stop, my legs are not strong enough to actually hold the bike up. And besides that, I've been on a combination for quite a long while, and if I went on a solo bike, I'd stop, I'd actually fall off because I'd forget to put my feet down. And it's given me the freedom of up and down the country wherever I want to go and take the wife with me in the sidecar. Once a year we go to County Tipperary, we do a classic bike rally over there. That's not for disabled bikers, it's for anybody with a classic bike or car. And we join in with those in Tipperary.
So what are his final words of advice?
Go for it. If I can do it, they can do it.
As you can see, nothing is insurmountable when it comes to getting back on a bike and back on the road. With support from charities, there really is no reason not to get back to biking. I would like to say a big thank you to everyone who has taken part in this documentary. As we have shown, bikers are a resilient lot. I know if I was to become disabled, one of the first things I would want to do was get back on a bike. So come on people, get back out there and do what you enjoy best, biking.